safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veterans services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who is interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Address the committee. You may do so at the podium. And since I don't see any members of the public, we will move on to item number 2, which is approval of the minutes of the December 10, 2019 meeting. It is moved and supported. Discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. It is approved. Next item of business is a report from Public Affairs Associates. Becky Beckler is here, ready to bedazzle us with the latest, greatest from Lansing.
Oh, you want bedazzling.
All right, just inform us then.
Good morning, everyone. Tomorrow evening, Governor Whitmer will deliver her second State of the State address before a joint session of the legislature. It'll be no surprise to anyone that road funding will be a topic of conversation. Last year, she kept her road funding conversation to the budget address, but this year she is likely to talk about it tomorrow evening. It will not be what she promoted last year, which was a 45-cent gas increase. Rather, she's going to talk about bonding, and that is an issue that she can provide additional resources without legislative approval. She could do that through the State Transportation Commission, which is a commission that's appointed by the governor, and they're able to do that. So she's likely to talk about that. Within that, she may also talk about the distribution formula that they use for additional road funding. the House Democrats recently came up with a data analysis proposal that showed that there are basically 22 counties in Michigan that provide most of the, I guess you say, donor community funding the other 61 counties. Kent County is one of those actually top 8 counties that are considered a donor county. So she's likely to talk about perhaps a new formula for this distribution of any new road funding that may be provided. The governor will also talk a little bit about health care. It's something that she did not address last year. Last fall, the Department of Health and Human Services, I guess they abandoned Section 298, which in Lansing is referred to as a pilot program that they were trying to get off the ground to integrate behavioral and physical health. They're instead going with a new proposal called the Specialized Integrated Plan. It's a pilot as well that they would like to use statewide. It's used in other states. The Director Gordon is continuing to work with key stakeholders. It's our understanding that they will need legislation to do this. They're going to have to change statute. So he's trying to get as many stakeholder groups comfortable with this proposal before they move forward, but it's something you're likely to see introduced and try to move before June to get this going. She also might talk about the environment. The last few weeks we've seen on the news in Southeast Michigan, there's been a green goo, if you will, goo that's coming out of some project, especially road projects. She's going to talk about that as well as PFAS. And those are likely some of her key components. I will say that it's my understanding from some of her staff that she has taken her draft speech and slashed it significantly. So what I have provided to you is information that's been provided by some of her key staff. But please know she's also shortened her speech considerably tomorrow evening, so some of this may actually be removed. There will not be a Republican response by the Senate Majority or Speaker of the House. It's something that they didn't do last year, and they don't intend to do this year. They're going to allow the governor to have her opportunity to lay out her proposal for the legislature. The Senate Majority Leader has talked about some of the proposals and initiatives that they want to pursue in 2020. I think first and foremost, they want to talk about oversight. Last year, there were fewer bills passed in this legislature. You'd have to go back to 1960 to come up with another number as low as it was last year. I think we are in the low 40s. He doesn't seem to be troubled by that. Matter of fact, he'd prefer that we have oversight of current proposals and things that have just passed. For instance, in 2016, the legislature passed an energy rewrite. Is that working? Is it doing what it intends to do? Last year, the legislature approved legislation changing auto no-fault. Are there changes that need to be made to that before it actually is implemented this summer? I think they also want to look at oversight of department processes and proposals. He has asked every committee chair as well as appropriations subcommittee chair to provide an oversight plan for 2020. So I think you'll see several committee hearings, at least from the Senate side, dealing with oversight. You also want to take a look at bonding, but not specifically on roads. He wants to revisit his proposal to bond part of the state teachers' retirement debt and use that money to move that into the stock market, and from those stock market proposals move to road funding. So it's something that he proposed last year. Governor Whitmer did not support it. The education groups did not support it as well, but I think he still wants to take another look at it, take another shot, and see if he could gain support for that as well. He also wants to take a look at soft landing, if you will, for Medicaid recipients. There is a disincentive right now in Michigan where if you are a full-time employee, then you are no longer eligible for Medicaid benefits as far as health care. He wants to work with the business community as well as regulators on the state and federal level to see if perhaps we could have a softer landing, and is there a way to slowly integrate them off the Medicaid proposal and still provide some type of health care benefit to those. He also wants to look at foster care and as regards to adoption services. His wife is adopted. He has 5 adopted grandchildren. And while he agrees that the foster care system is good in Michigan, he wants to improve it to make sure that we have forever families and make that as a simplified process as possible in Michigan. On the House side, the Speaker has not identified his, or at least made public his proposals, but clearly mental health, road funding, criminal justice reform, because the House has recently passed expungement and the Senate will now consider that. That is also an issue for them. So probably more to that in the coming weeks as far as their specific priorities. The governor's schedule doesn't get any easier. Next week, following week, she has been selected to give the Democratic response to the State of the Union. That would be on February 4th. And then follow that on February 6th, she's going to deliver the budget recommendations to the Joint Appropriations Committee. There was a bit of good news in the January Revenue Estimating Conference in that for the 2020 fiscal year, there's an additional $235 million in the general fund and $85 million for the school aid fund. And looking at 2021, the officials agreed that there'd be an additional $274 million general fund and $138 million in the school aid fund. That's about a 2.9% increase. State officials are trying to be cautious as far as while it is an uptick and it's good news, the economy is just in a modest increase. And there are some legacy costs that this budget will need to start to grapple with. In 2015, the legislature approved a road funding plan. And a result of that, there's a homestead property tax increase that the state now must begin to pay for. They started in 2019, but for 2020, there's an additional $325 million in general fund that the state will need to recover, and then in 2020 is $600 million. So there are some legacy costs that are now catching up with the state budget. We don't have necessarily a significant amount of new revenue, so there are going to be some pressures on the legislature as they deal with that. Not only are we dealing with the budget proposal that the governor will lay out next week, but there's also still conversation about a second supplemental. If you recall, in December, the legislature approved the first supplemental, which was trying to renew some of the governor's budget vetoes from the 2019 budget. She vetoed about $1 billion. So in this first supplemental that passed in December, there was about $573 million restored. And the idea was that they were restoring those emergent needs. A lot of them were the cuts from that counties actually had to bear the cost of. So there's another $600 million unspent out there that the legislature could do a second supplemental. It's my understanding that there actually are conversations about doing that. It would be late February. They're still trying to get to what they want to focus on. I think the governor wanted to talk about workforce development. The Speaker of the House doesn't appear to be interested in just focusing in on one entity. But there are conversations. I know the Senate Majority Leader had an internal meeting last week. So you could see a second supplemental. It's confusing, but it will be dealing with last year's budget coming through at the end of February. Other than that, that's really what's going on in Lansing. They typically allow the governor this time. So there's few hearings this week, but nothing significant going on. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Good, thank you. Anyone have questions? Commissioner Hennessy.
In a second supplemental, might they fund Pure Michigan again?
Yes, the conversation is that they would fund Pure Michigan, not at the same level. I think initially it was a $35 million price tag. It looks like they may shave that off about $5 million. It'll be a $30 million, but it will be funded.
Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Melton.
Thank you, Chair. I just, atmosphere-wise, and it's just because I know you're there so much, it sounds like obviously Michigan is doing a very nice job of focusing on what is going on in Michigan at hand. The nastiness in Washington isn't carrying over much, or are you feeling that, or are they pretty much able to separate the two? I'm just curious for myself.
I don't think you're seeing what's going on the federal level impacting the state level.
Nice.
That's not to say that there aren't some challenges with a divided government. I think you saw this fall some moments of time where the two sides were not necessarily working well
Sure.
together. A lot of it was communication, and they brought in actually more individuals to the conversation because they felt like they were perhaps talking past each other.
Okay.
And so you saw more, for instance, you saw Senator Curtis Hertel be part of the conversation, and that seemed to help with more ears listening to actually what was being said.
Well, that just is, it's very nice for those of us in Michigan. I like hearing that. Thank you.
Commissioner Tallon.
Thank you, Chair. Becky, I wonder if you could help me a little more understand the legacy road bonds. You mentioned 2015, and you used, I thought, homestead. I don't get can you help me understand the connection and how that's supposed to be paid, how exactly it affects the budget?
In 2015, there was a road funding package that actually increased the gas tax by 15 cents. as well as your registration fees to get more money for road funding. But in a part of that deal, they expanded the homestead property tax credit. And so now, as each year goes, those costs increase with each year with that expansion of that property tax credit.
So it's more an indirect, it's not directly paying the bonds, but it's part of the deal that.
Better set, yes,
Yeah, okay,
absolutely.
all right, thank you, that helps a lot.
Anyone else? If not, oh, yes, Commissioner
Well,
Thomas.
just, I guess, more a question for the chair or a suggestion, and that is whether we could consider taking a look at our legislative priorities and doing something fairly quickly to respond to the proposal from the state DHHS for the
On
new
the
mental health
SIPs?
system. Yeah. It feels like it affects us pretty significantly. We probably have some ideas about that or some response to it, and I wonder if we could maybe think about whether we
Okay.
could provide some kind of response to that as far as a legislative priority.
Yeah, we could talk about that and work with MAC as well. I know that they're, as you say, they're exploring how to respond to the department's
Because if that stuff is
recommendation.
coming to legislators, it'd be great for us to be able to let them know where we're at officially. So, thank you.
I do have a question. I have heard on the bonding suggestion from the governor that while the governor can approve bonds to proceed without the approval of the Senate or the House, can she also do so without limit? I mean, is there any limit to how much she can bond?
I believe that there is no limit as to how
No
much.
limit.
As long as it is approved by the Transportation Commission. In an interview with the head of the commission, and the name of the individual escapes me, they did say that there would be parameters. They weren't comfortable with an unlimited bonding amount. So I think we could probably look for more direction from the governor tomorrow evening as far as what she is proposing.
Okay, because these bonds would have to be paid back out of general fund
Correct,
and for presumably 20 years. And
correct.
could have a significant drain or draw on the general fund requirements. Okay, so yeah, we'll listen carefully. All right, thank you very much. All right, next item is item number 4, approval of adding 1/2 FTE outreach worker position.
Yes, this is a request to the board to approve adding .05 or 0.5 FTE outreach worker position. The city of Grand Rapids has made a total of $238,000 available to the health department through its lead hazard community development grant to identify lead-based paint hazards and reduce elevated blood levels in young children. Of this amount, $185,900 was appropriated to the 2019-20 health fund budget as part of the annual budgeting process. At this time, the city of Grand Rapids has made an additional $52,300 available to add a 0.5 FTE outreach worker position, including related expenses. The outreach worker position will assist property owners with the application process, generate awareness of lead issues primarily in the healthcare community, and coordinate blood level testing of children. This cost of salary and benefits for the 0.5 FTE outreach worker position is $23,800. In addition, 0.05 FTE of an existing public health program supervisor will be charged to the grant for supervision. Total costs for the supervisor position are $5,400. Travel supplies, water testing, overhead costs are $23,000. The grant period is October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. If funding is eliminated or decreased, the positions will be eliminated unless continuation funding is approved pursuant to the fiscal policy on grants and donations. Contracts and donations. Corporate counsel will review and approve all documents as to form prior to signature.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and supported. Discussion? Yes, Commissioner Skaggs, you have your hands up, or are you taking your
Just
glasses
flicking my
off?
pen. No, I have my hands are up. Thank you, Chair. Just want to, I think we're really moving in a significant way on the lead issue on a whole lot of fronts, both in this resolution and previous ones, and as I mentioned before, in the Ready by 5 grants that are coming. So really want to thank the mayor of Grand Rapids and our chair, Mandy Bolter, along with staff, for really working cooperatively between the county and the city. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And you know, there's a lot of money that's being sent over to Adam. So looking forward to in a prudent but expeditious fashion getting these people out in the field and really impacting people's lives.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Commissioner Hennessy, sorry.
Thank you. I know grant funding, this is for a position that we're already in the middle of the funding year. Is it likely, can we use our crystal ball and say that it will be, that the expectations are that it will be renewed?
Yes, I see nods from Adam and a finger up, thumb up. Yes, it will. It's very likely the funding will continue on this particular.
And I'm also curious as to the kinds of qualities of the personnel that we are looking for an outreach worker position who will be working right with the families, will be probably one of the first contacts with the families where lead levels are suspect.
Yes.
Adam London, do you want to rest on your thumbs up sign, or you want to verbally respond?
Thank you and good morning. Just in response to that question, Commissioner Hennessy, our community outreach workers, their minimum requirement is a high school education, and we always try very hard to recruit from the communities that we're serving in order to populate those positions. So the ideal in this outreach worker is someone from the community that knows the community, and if the applicant has experience with lead personally, that would be a huge bonus to us also, so they can relate very well to the people who are being affected by it.
Commissioner Tallon.
My question is answered. Thank you.
Oh, wow, good. Anyone else? All right, if not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Good. Next item, miscellaneous. Anyone have miscellaneous for the committee? Commissioner Mellon.
Sorry, I always have miscellaneous. Couple things. I just saw on my Facebook that the health department has launched its podcast. I don't know if it was your first one, but it's in response to the coronavirus, and I had my grandkids, so I did listen to it, but I would like to go back and take on some more of the information, but how very, very exciting. I know they were talking about that at our last CHOC meeting, and it just was really well done from what I could hear, and I commend you to be forward thinking, because that is something that I know an awful lot of people listen to the podcasts, so that's great news. Also, great job with the dogs at the county pound or county dog, whatever I'm trying to say.
Animal shelter.
Thank you, animal shelter. The only problem with that is that my husband would like to take it off of my Facebook, because I'm ready to go in and adopt each and every one of them. They've just showcased them so well. So there again, wonderful response to what seemed to be a need, and you've risen to the occasion, so I thank you. The other is very exciting news. 2 Kentwood young persons, both graduated from Kentwood, but did live in the city of Kentwood. Randy Gist and Blake Cross. They played with the Jonas Brothers at the Grammy Awards just the other night, and were both recognized, and Randy especially plays the saxophone in ways that I truly, and I'm not a music aficionado, but I had no idea that a saxophone could sound that way. He's amazing. So that was very, very exciting. And the last is Lip Sync is coming up. It's something that the Justice Department and the Lawyer Association and Bar Association in Grand Rapids puts on. It's the end of February, and this year we have 3 Michigan Supreme Court justices who are going going to lip sync for us, and no other than Judge Sarah Malinsky is always the MC, and if you don't go for any other reason, just consider going to listen to her because she makes the whole show. She's amazing. She just totally drops the judge idea, and her inner self comes out. So anyway, just great things going on.
I will say, if you think all judges have black robe syndrome, this is an opportunity
That's right.
to see
Absolutely.
the other side of some of our justices.
Absolutely, and if I can, if you've not seen the play Hamilton, and I'm not suggesting it's for everyone, but it was quite an eye-opener for me. Not only did I love it, but we are in a time when things are not going real well, and quite frankly, it's not a lot different from when we first started the United States, and you listen to all of the this and the that and the bickering and the affairs and all the things going on. Really, we're just sort of marching along the same as it was during George Washington and Alexander Hamilton's days. So I think we're okay.
Is something going on? I'm just kidding. Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Hennessy.
Well, I took note, the British magazine called The Economist has a criminal justice section right now, and one of the sub-headlines is, Michigan's plan to overhaul its jail system could be a model for others. So it's fascinating that we have really made the international news in terms of our jail task force, which Commissioner Talon was chosen to serve on. And they're pointing out that the data gathering, the research that was done, and the bipartisan cooperation that seems evident, and it's going to be watched.
Good. It's nice to hear. Anyone else? If not, I have just one thing. Again, my thanks to Commissioners Bonk and Skaggs and Coleman for covering the interviews this morning. We do have an appointment to make probably at the next meeting on the airport board, and then we also have one more to make on the FOC advisory board, I believe. So 2 more that we'll have to address to get resolved for this year. Other than that, and if nothing else, we stand adjourned. It is 8:58. That's a record for us. Thank you all.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.